Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Lazy Chair Bear, and today I'll be reviewing Look Outside is a pixelated horror game. It's a turn-based action RPG similar to games like Pokemon, Persona 5, and Expedition 33. You start off by waking up as Sam, an unemployed renter in a three-story apartment complex. As you wake up, you hear your neighbor speak through the crack in the wall, telling you to look outside. As you near the window, she quickly yells out again to not look outside, that she was mistaken. You find out through Sylvie, your next door neighbor, and through the news that something terrible has happened to people who look outside. They also say that everything will be over after 15 days. As you begin to explore outside your room, you'll end up encountering some of your neighbors. The ones that looked outside their windows are all slowly being turned into some kind of grotesque monsters. You'll end up fighting many monsters throughout the apartment complex, but not all of them are completely insane. You'll also meet some monsters that are on the edge of becoming insane. Whether you save them or kill them, it's up to you. As you keep exploring the apartment complex, you'll also meet some people dressed in thick cloaks. These people call themselves astronomers. They predicted that something like this would happen, and they had prepared the apartment complex. Their leader, Jasper, had a vision that something would happen, but only by gathering 4 offerings would the crisis be averted. There are several different endings to this game. You could either hold up in your apartment for 15 days and wait for it to all pass, or you could trust in the astronomers and try to gather the offerings. Whatever your choice may be, I guarantee it will be an experience to remember. Look Outside has your typical pixelated horror art style. There's something about the pixelated art style that fits horror just right. It gives you enough visuals to let you know what you're looking at, but not all the details, and lets your mind wander and come up with the rest. I believe this balance is what makes pixelated horror a great combination. Well, Look Outside doesn't completely lean into the horror genre. It leans more into the mysteriously grotesque. There are no jump scares in the game, unless you count the boss event, and that's not really meant to scare you, it's just meant to progress the story. All the monsters look like mutants. They're they are not scary, they're just kinda gory. There's also a huge collection of different types of monsters throughout the complex. From your regular shambling zombie-like monster to the horrifyingly mutated paint monsters. You will encounter a huge collection of different enemies. Almost all of them have a unique characteristic that makes them stand out, especially the bosses. The bosses in Look Outside are all crazy looking. Bosses like the Grinner are fantastically grotesque, and other bosses like the Shadow Beasts, which cause your screen to darken, and they let out a creepy screech as they randomly appear throughout the complex. They're all completely different and unique. The atmosphere Look Outside creates really makes you second guess everything you decide to approach. Is it a friendly NPC, or is it a monstrous boss battle? You can never tell. The friendly NPCs are also mostly mutated monsters, except for the astrologers, kind of, the janitors. and the landlord. For the most part, you'll never know whether what you're approaching is friendly or not, making the player extremely hesitant to approach anything new. For example, after I cleared the third floor and went down to the second floor, I saw a mysterious person in robes just standing there. I thought it was another enemy, a powerful one, judging by how different it looked from the other monsters that I had just fought, and after thoroughly preparing myself, I cautiously approached it, prepared for a fight, only to find out that the thing I had approached was an astrologer. Even from the beginning, this game trains you to be cautious of everything and everyone. Look Outside's caution-inducing atmosphere, mixed with the fantastical grotesque nature of the enemies, earns Look Outside a 5 out of 5 stars in graphical style. The combat of Look Outside is your traditional turn-based action combat. You take turns attacking your enemies, then it's their turn to attack you. It the really great stuff is what happens before you fight. The creepy atmosphere of the flickering lights and the horrifying monsters coming at you. Besides the battles, there is also the exploration part of the game. You'll start on the third floor of the apartments, and as you try to progress, you'll find out that the elevator has stopped working and the stairs are also padlocked. Each floor has its own unique challenges to conquer. The first floor was particularly difficult for me to get through. I was trying to not sacrifice the rat child to the meat wall, and that took me forever to figure out. But if you're ruthless enough to just sacrifice it, then this floor becomes easy enough to beat. As you progress through the days, you'll also notice an increase in monsters, especially once you get to the ground floor. The apartments will get more and more warped as the days continue. Stronger and stronger enemies will spawn. Locations you thought you've cleared will also be taken over by stronger monsters too. Overall, the gameplay of Look Outside is pretty good. I just wish they'd done something more with the turn-based system, like added some timing mechanics to deal some extra damage or something like that. But 3 out of 5 stars in gameplay. The story of Look Outside is pretty interesting. Something appeared in the sky, and if you look at it, you get turned into some kind of horrific monster. All in all, a pretty solid premise. Even the side characters have good stories. For example, the Tooth Kid's story arc, I thought was pretty good. Uh, he'll probably be your first companion if you don't accidentally kill him first, and I don't really want to go into too many details, so I don't spoil it. With that said, the one thing I didn't like about the story was the lack of visual storytelling. Now, what do I mean by that? In other games I've played, like let's say Dead Space, you find lots of dead bodies scattered throughout the grounds. You'll see them like clawing themselves out, trying to escape the monsters, or you see like mothers huddled near their babies, like with like a gun in their hands, so you can tell what happened. But Look Outside lacked, at least for me, it felt like it lacked a lot of visual storytelling. Maybe they should have added things like, I don't know, some scratches on the walls, or maybe some graffiti on the walls, maybe a few more dead bodies here and there. There were a few things, like the ice door and the flesh ones, and that one dude at the bottom of the stairs, but for the most part, it didn't feel like there was an apocalypse happening. Other people weren't desperately looking to survive. But other than the lack of visual storytelling, the rest was pretty good. 4 out of 5 stars for the story. For this category, I will be judging Look Outside's memorability. Look Outside has many memorable scenes, like when you get too curious and you decide to look outside to see and you see the entire thing like melting your flesh off, to being chased by the grinner down the hallway, and to even the giant bus explosion at the bottom at the ground floor. There's some pretty good memorable scenes, but I don't think there's a big enough one that leaves a lasting impact. Because of that, I'll give Look outside, a 3 out of 5 stars in memorability. And now we get to the value. Look outside costs $9.99 USD. It has no microtransactions. It's also made by a small indie team. It has about 10 hours of playtime with a solid story, so that's pretty good. All in all, I'll give it a 5 out of 5 stars in value. Now then, it's time to do the final calculations. 5 in graphical style, 3.5 in gameplay, 4 in story, 3 in memorability, and 5 in value. And the final score is not bad, not bad. Overall, it's a pretty good score. If you like pixelated horror games, then this is a good buy. Even if it kind of catches your interest, then by all means try it. It's a pretty good place to start playing pixelated horror games. These kinds of games always have pretty good stories. What they lack in visual elements, they make up in good storytelling. If you're craving a good horror story, then this is your game. And that's my Bearview on the game Look Outside. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching. And now it's time for me to sit back, relax, eat some honey, and pass out.